Okay, this is going to be interesting. I've just found out that Timothy has his two marbles that are rolling around in his head. He's doing a response to vegan gains because Timothy still thinks we live on a flat Earth. Um, well, I think he still thinks, or maybe he's going to admit that yeah, it was just a thought process. It was just a mental gymnastics he was playing. It's not actual. But so I haven't seen this. This is a live reaction to. Let's talk about the Earth. Let's see what Tim and his infinite knowledge knows about the Earth and its flatness. Okay, I've just got to bring up flat Earth map. I do love this. I do love this. And they're saying, oh, but look, the UN used the same thing as the flat Earth map. You're like, that's because it's one way to show the Earth in a nice little circle kind of thing. What I would say is the flat Earth map is, how would you call it, is fair enough for the northern hemisphere. When you get to the southern hemisphere, so everything beyond the halfway mark, is total nonsense. Additionally, you've got to remember, like, in the Antarctic, you have 24-hour daylight, 24-hour sunshine going on, and you cannot get that with this weird idea that they have the sun is just spinning around up here all the time. Anyway, let's just hear what he's got to say first.
For 500 years, we have known that the Earth is a sphere.
Okay, straight off there. It's not been 500 years. It's been literally thousands of years. It's been before Jesus Christ, our holy savior, was around. Now, I'm sure Timothy is quite the Christian Catholic, somebody that believes in religion of some sort as well. So he's probably very much in the belief of like Adam and Eve, and we come from a rib, and just Adam and Eve had sex with each other, then their kids had sex. So he's totally into incest or something, if you believe the Bible in all its great brilliantness. But no, before even the Bible was around, people understood that the Earth was a sphere. Not that difficult.
Now, recently, Vegan Games made a video on me, taking a segment I did on a recent London Real episode, where I was talking about the potential of another theory.
What are your thoughts on the flat Earth theory, Mr. Timothy Sheep?
I wanted to watch the video as a sort of roast to myself.
Oh, thank God. Okay, he's going to roast himself. Good. He's admitting it was a laugh, it was a joke, it was mental gymnastics, it was theory playing that he was doing. I hope.
Ego check, if you will, and to see if Vegan Games had any insights I'd overlooked to offer me.
Now, I know this is going to sound completely retarded, but just hear me out. You see, the Earth is actually flat.
Now, fair enough, Vegan Games, it was harsh, but the usual VG shtick that we come to expect, and you're entitled to that opinion. I shouldn't have spoken in such a definitive way about something I don't know everything about. I am Tim the Human after all. Forgive me for being human.
Definite use of religious images there, praying. Okay, so he's definitely got a religious side to him. Probably that's a prominent part in his being, in his idea of self.
People like to stir things up and gossip about others, whereas I like to stir things up in a more philosophical, flip the world kind of way. Now, I'm making this video for my followers and supporters, as I feel I owe it to you to explain such outrageous statements.
Especially because if you go into that a London Real video, the comment section is just so many normal, rational people kind of going, oh, Tim, what the fuck are you saying? We totally respected you for your athletic prowess, for the amazing things that you do, for even promoting veganism, but this is fucking nonsense. Please pull your head out of your arse. So, like, if you just read the comments on all these videos, just like, apart from then you get people trolling it and pretending that they're totally believing in the flat Earth. It's just, it's a shitstorm. Shitstorm in a cup.
I've always liked puzzles. I can solve a Rubik's Cube in 24 seconds. I like Sherlock Holmes' way of thinking, and I got into uni, as I said in the London Real interview, to study maths and physics. I like looking and understanding things. Sometime last year, I saw a load of heat being fired at these so-called flat earthers. Now, as a human trying to practice understanding and not judgment, I wanted to see if I could comprehend how people in today's modern age could possibly think such an insane idea. And as Aristotle said, it is the mark of an educated mind to entertain a thought without accepting it. And I wanted to practice just that. Now, of course, the earth is round, and it's easy to prove, but I wanted to prove it to myself.
Thank fuck.
As an adult, I think it's important to recheck beliefs and why we feel them every once in a while. It's the same train of thinking that led me to being a vegan. Now,
And yeah, that's a good analogy. I would agree with that. We should always check our long-held beliefs, but at the same time, there's some beliefs which you don't need to check. For example, do I need to check that I can't breathe underwater? No, I don't know. Should I try? And I hear that if you go like 100 meters underwater, you can breathe. Somebody told me that. Should I try that out? I don't know. It may sound crazy. Or just like, I hear we breathe oxygen. Have you ever seen oxygen? Seemingly it's there. It's invisible. It's tasteless. And even if you have too much of it, it can kill you. That's it's crazy thoughts. Crazy. Oxygen does not exist. Anyway. So yeah, as I say, I agree that you should challenge your long-held. It shouldn't even considered beliefs. Your long-held knowledge, facts that we know.
I love the earth. As you see in my videos, my vlogs, I'm out swimming in lakes, running in mountains, appreciating the rivers and the oceans. And I took this as an opportunity for me to understand it more fully. But if it's...
What I will also say is that there are some fantastic things in the flat earth theory, or the flat earth researchers, that make you kind of go, holy crap, so what does that actually mean? For example, there's one thing which has sparked a bit of interest in me, is that there are certain places on the planet that have huge tidal heights. There's some place, I think it's in Canada, where the tide rises something like, did I read it? It says 60 feet, 60. That can't be right. 16. It must be in 16 feet it rises in certain areas. You're like, holy crap, that's huge. Meanwhile, in other places, throughout the day, when you have your two different tides, it only rises up to maybe like 5 feet up or 5 feet down. So there's different tide heights around the world. You're kind of going, how does that happen? And you find out that it's all to do about undersea geology. There's also effects of so the moon pulls around the water effectively, and but it also pulls the earth at the same time, and that's why you have the double tidal effect going on. So you have it going towards the moon, and you also have the water on the other side where the earth is going towards the moon. But you just like, how do some places have such massive tidal increases? Was it tidal heights? World record tidal height. Some places have got like 16, 17 feet of maybe it's 16 meters. It's something bizarre. You're just going, how does that work? And that's definitely something which I'm quite interested to figure out. What is the regional geology that creates such huge changes in comparison to other areas, and why is it more affected than other places? Or just what is it? So that is an interesting thing, which has been highlighted to me through the flat earth theory. So yeah, there are some cool things to make you kind of go, ooh, let's figure that out. Not go, oh no, what? So there, instead of researching it and finding out it's all about the types of rocks, the outer sea geology, was it the floodplain, blah blah blah. I can't remember. Read it all. Instead of saying that, the flat earth theory is that it proves that the earth breathes, and it breathes up and down, and this area is closer to the lungs of the planet than the other places. So it's not only it's a flat earth, it's a breathing earth. It's actually physically breathing is what they consider. I wouldn't say that.
If it angers you at all and you feel disgust rising in your belly at just the thought of it, then please close the video now, get on with your life. I don't want to perpetuate your frustration. For those remaining that like critical and independent thinking, science and puzzles, if you will just humour me and follow my train of thought. Now I wanted to go on a journey into my mind and understand what in my head makes me so sure the Earth is a sphere. What's my history? What have I been taught? What things have I learned myself? What have I observed? Why do I know this to be true? So I came up with 4 identifications. Space, we've been to space, of course, we can see the Earth from space. It's a sphere, it's round. 2, science, gravity, all that stuff. How would that work on a flat Earth? 3, geography. Surely we just sail off the edge if the Earth was flat.
The flat earthers believe that Antarctica is a wall of ice, which we're not allowed to go past. But at the same point, what they're saying is they think that going to space, going to the moon, was all faked. Satellites are faked. The space station is faked, even though you see up there, they say it's a hologram that's put up there. They say, oh, do you ever see them? It's like, yeah, in certain places you totally do see them. Additionally, so what was that? But you don't see them all the time, because if the sun is on the other side of the planet and a satellite is above you, it's not going to be getting any light. So it's only when the sun is just beyond the horizon and you get a dark night, that's when you start to see stuff moving around up there. So you don't necessarily see it in the middle of the night, but just after the sun has set, that's where the sun will be reflecting and still be hitting the light panels of the satellites, and that's when you can see them. Anyway, what was I going on about? Yeah, so the flat earth. So they think that Antarctica is a giant wall of ice that we're not allowed to go to, and beyond that, no one's ever been, or some people have been, and they realize the world is flat, and all that kind of stuff. And also the belief that, what is it? They think that everything. I can't remember, but there's some. Oh yeah, so the fact is they think that that we've gone up to space, that's all fake, even though we've got 50 years worth of spaceships, satellite images, and additionally looking at other planets, stars, and all that stuff out in the cosmos. But they've never seen the edge of the Earth, of the flat Earth. But the Earth is flat, and it's got an edge, and it's the sea. Oh no, it's the ice. That's the edge. But you've never actually seen it. But the space landings were fake.
This is going to be easy to prove. 4, observations. What observations can I make? And for me, this is what...
Oh, see, this is individual observations from somebody who's not really studying it, because there's no reason to really study it, are dangerously stupid. Just like, the sun's... Like, if you just use your own observations... For example, you wouldn't believe in climate. So that's the thing that Vegan Gains was saying. If you only believe in your own individual observations, you wouldn't believe in things like climate change or global warming. And you go, it's cloudy and raining. I don't think we're causing any problems to the world. What are you on about? It's not about our observations. It's about the scientific consensus around the world that is proof. I lost my chain of thought there. Need more
I want
coffee.
to begin the journey into a simple observation. As Buddha called it, ultimate truths. What are the ultimate truths to me? For you, you may have been to space.
Do you know what? Through simple observation, I've never seen the back of my neck. Does it exist? Is it there? If I turn round and you say you've seen the back of my neck, are you all just trolling me? Does it actually exist? I can touch it. But should I really trust myself? I will never get through all this video.
You may have circumnavigated the globe vertically, and an ultimate truth to you might be that Earth is round from your own observations. But from my observations, I haven't been to the North, the South Pole. I haven't been to space. So for my ultimate truth, how can I observe the Earth to be a sphere? I've been to the seaside many times, and on a few occasions, I remember watching boats disappear into the horizon. This is one of the obvious proofs. I think a lot of people mention this when it comes to disproving flat Earth, and it's very fair to think that way. But when I looked into it, I actually discovered that boats don't actually disappear over the horizon.
Oh no, he's using this Zoom video. Oh, how many times have I seen this Zoom video? Look at this boat, a little bit out in the water. It's not behind the horizon. Therefore, the horizon doesn't exist. You're not looking
due to our limited
far
eyesight.
away.
And when you zoom in to a boat on the horizon, you can actually see the boat reappears, and it doesn't disappear in the...
That's not much of a zoom. That's not really showing you that far. You're also from an elevated position. Do we see that as well? So I think they say the
This is one of the obvious
distance is something around about 3 miles from ground level. If you're standing, you're 6 feet tall, you've already got like 7, 8 miles
I think a lot
of
of people
distance.
mention this
Long
when
distance.
it comes to disproving flat Earth, and it's very fair to think that way. But when I looked into it, I actually discovered that boats don't actually disappear over the horizon. That's perception due to our limited eyesight. And when you zoom in to a boat on the horizon, you can actually see the boat reappears, and it doesn't disappear in the horizon. You can still see the bottom of the boat. So it's not actually disappearing over the curve, it's just disappearing into the distance. Now, as an avid traveller, I've flown...
So does that mean it's then disappeared? Does that mean it doesn't exist? What's the phrase? If a tree falls in a forest and no one's there to hear it, does it still make a sound? So in your observations, well, I can't see it, so therefore it's not there. Instead of going, well, it's... But they're saying it's out of their field of view. No, it's out of our acuity, our visual acuity, which in humans is pretty crap. Show that to an eagle or something like that? There's some certain birds that can see like a postage stamp from 2 miles away. They'd be like, yeah, I can see it's just over there. It's not beyond the horizon. Anyway, get on.
Many times out of the window of a plane, I always try and get the window seat. There's a good tip for you. Always choose the window seat. Get those beautiful views that none of our ancestors could see. I've seen the curvature of the Earth. Now, I'm not...
You shouldn't have seen the curvature of the Earth from an airplane window because you're looking at everything from a sphere. I need a giant ball. Do I need to have a giant ball to explain? It's like a giant mega Earth. You in an airplane, to us, we're like, wow, we're so high up. You are literally you're not even high as Everest. You're a microscopic dot above a giant super ball, and you're trying to go, I can see the curve. It's not going to happen. And even low Earth satellites, space satellites, I need something which is equivalent of size. I have nothing. Even low Earth satellites are, let's say my fist is Earth. Low Earth orbiting satellites are no higher than the ring on my finger. To kind of say, oh, why can't they take a picture of the whole Earth? You have to go all the way up to the moon before you can see that. Anyway, right, God, how I've got to get on with
where
this.
there's mountains, because of course you can't tell, it's all rocky. Where there's ocean, water always sits flat, right? So you can see the curvature of the Earth. Now, since looking into this and looking again, I couldn't actually see the curvature of the Earth when I found a clear patch of sky.
You're not going to see, because again, you're on top. You're looking around. If you saw a curve, you'd look round and the Earth would stop. You're not going to see a curve looking out the side or looking forward out the window. The curve is rotating away from you, not around you. Until you get up to, I think it's like a full Earth-size distance away from a person. Okay, how's another way to explain it? It's like being a bacteria on your nose and your ears. No, lost that train of thought there.
There's no clouds over the ocean. Those few occasions I looked out, and it actually would appear to be flat for me. And I put a book up. Couldn't see any notable curvature.
Of course you're not. Like, people who say that you're going to see the curvature left and right clearly don't understand what they're talking about in the first place. So that's a fallacy which you're trying to claim as proof that you're right.
There. Now, of course, that's only 40,000 feet. Maybe the plane isn't high enough up, but this is just one of the observations that I thought would be obvious to disprove it. Now, I looked online for some amateur balloon footage, because this is something I could do myself, but I haven't got around to doing yet. And this video of a balloon going up to 121,000 feet. And again, I couldn't see any curvature on this. But of course, this doesn't prove anything. Maybe 121,000 feet just isn't high enough up for us to see anything, or it could have been edited. Now, another observation to be made is on the few times I've been to the southern side of the hemisphere, is that the moon is upside down from when you're on the northern side of the hemisphere. So when I looked into it, I could see it was an oversimplification, and the moon is actually viewed at all 360 degrees of inclination, depending on which part of the Earth you're viewing it from.
What? So if I'm anywhere in the UK, I can see the moon upside down as well. So if I get in a plane from Scotland, let's say we have a full moon up in Scotland one night, and the moon's main crater is on the right-hand side from me looking up at it, going from east to west. And I go down to the southern hemisphere, or outer part of the ring, and the crater's on the other side, right, left to right, or whatever I just said. That's what? I don't... You're saying we should all see it that way? Nope. No, that's not quite how it works. So whatever you've tried to explain there, even I don't understand what you were trying to say there, because it didn't make sense.
Obvious proof is when I look out into the sky and I see the moon, the planets, the sun and the stars, they all are spheres. And that would make it incredibly likely that this too is a sphere. Though this is not proof, as I've only lived 28 years of my life on this platform, having never left it, it doesn't make it definitive. Now, just because snooker balls are perfect spheres doesn't mean the table upon which it sat is a sphere as well. Here's a clip of Carl Sagan explaining how Eratosthenes deduced in the 3rd century that the Earth was clearly globular.
So you even just said in the 3rd century. Okay, Tim, we're in the 21st century. So at the start of your video, you said we've known it's a sphere for at least 4 or 500 years? And you're already saying, yeah, in the 3rd century. Okay, so here's the thing about time, Tim. Do I need to explain that one to you?
How could it be, Eratosthenes asked, that at the same instant there was no shadow at Syene and a very substantial shadow at Alexandria? The only answer was that the surface of the Earth is curved.
Now, I don't know about you, but for me, that doesn't necessarily prove indefinitely that the Earth is globular. It just shows that the source of light, the sun, was directly above the tower at Syene and not above the other tower. One topic.
The other way to do this is on... you get a right-angled piece of wood, goes up like that, put it on a perfectly level surface somewhere, and in some day of the year, in whatever part of the planet you're on, you'll be able to measure the shadow that it's creating. So kind of exactly the same that you say. It's not necessarily that there's no shadow or there is shadow. So for example, in Scotland, I'm going over to Texas next week, and let's say I do a little measurement. I put my pen on the ground up here, and the what do you call it? The length of the shadow is 9 centimeters. If I then go to Texas, which is closer to the equator, so at this time of year, it should potentially have a shorter shadow. So I'm going the day after. It'll take me a day to get there, or because I'm traveling with the thing. Yeah. So anyway, and there should be a substantial difference on that. And if you take the difference and divide it by 365, whatever it is, you can figure out, using maths, the size of the planet. Magic. It's not just this one little statement that he's got. It's like, oh, there's no shadow, there was a shadow. It just shows that the sun's closer. If you then travel thousands and thousands of miles and you see it's completely different, it's really hard when somebody goes and uses... I saw this one clip of a zoom lens and another person saying it's a curve, and I don't believe anything. You really need to go into a lot of... Was it... explaining something to a smart person... No, explaining something to a smart person can be difficult. Explaining something to an idiot is impossible. So anyway, God, this is going to be the longest fucking video
That
we've done.
fascinated me when it came to observations that we can make from Earth was the topic of star trails. Flat Earthers claim that the beautiful trails left across the sky when you take a time-lapse or long-exposure photo are caused by the stars rotating above our heads and that we are in fact stationary. Now, having done some research and looked at how both sides of the discussion perceive it to be, from my perspective, both work. And if you want to do some more research yourself, there's a really cool app you can download called Stellarium, though I won't go into it too much here as we have a lot to cover. Now, one of the proofs Vegan Gains kindly offered that the Earth is a sphere.
Even thousands of years ago, people figured out the Earth was a ball due to lunar eclipses.
Though it's not very well known and doesn't happen very often, a selenelion is when it's possible to see both the sun and the moon in the sky at the same time during a lunar eclipse. Flat Earthers claim this is due to a shadow object, satellite of the sun, passing between it and the moon. Globe Earthers explain this due to atmospheric refraction. Now, I've always been fascinated with the ancient Egyptians, and the way they understood the world wasn't built off the modern technology or the fact that we've got space travel that we now have. They made everything about the world and the earth off observations they could make from the earth. And them, along with the Ayurvedic complete cosmology, was based off a flat earth geocentric model. So for them, it lined up. From this bit of research, along with a whole list of other things that I won't go into now, I have deduced that, at least from my perspective, for me, in ultimate truths, I cannot prove the earth to be spherical or flat. So I'm going to move on to stage 2, and that's geography. Now, geography was one of the big proofs for me that the earth is clearly a sphere. Surely Christopher Columbus, when sailing to America, risked himself. He could have missed America and gone right off
He did. He didn't reach America. Christopher Columbus did not find America.
the edge, if that's the way they think it.
It was a place called the West Indies. In fact, there's even a place called Columbus Island, which I think is the one he actually landed in. But no, he didn't actually find America. He just found that there were islands and areas on the other side of the Earth. Again, Christopher Columbus did not think that the Earth was flat and that we'd sail off the edge. They were just like, it's such a long distance, we don't know what's out there. That's why it's called the West Indies, because they thought they'd gone all the way around the world and they'd reached India.
It was. Now, as I said in the beginning, I want to be understanding and try and comprehend the way they could possibly see the world and get into the mindset. They see the North Pole at the very centre of the world, and that the South Pole is actually a giant 360-degree ring of ice on the outside. Just like that in Game of Thrones, keeping everything in and stopping sailors sailing right off the edge.
Fuck, is it the fact that Game of Thrones exists that flat Earth has become a more prominent thing? Do we blame Game of Thrones for flat Earthers?
Others think it's a giant dome, much like that in Truman Show. Now, as a humble...
Truman Show, great film. Definitely don't watch it because it will make you think, oh my god, everyone's watching me. For so long after I watched that program, I remember I'd be like on the bus and there'd be somebody on the street and they would look up and they would look at me and I'm like, why are they looking at me? Am I being filmed? Or is everyone watching me? And it's a great... Truman Show, again, also has a lot of religious implications upon the idea of false gods, but also the idea of that somebody is always watching you. Is it not the Hunger Games has also brought in a lot of the theology, not theology, but the ideas around the Truman Show. People always watching and always controlling and having control in your whole life. Anyway.
Human who's lived a mere 28 years of life on this planet. I can laugh and scoff at how ridiculous these claims are, but I've only been around, travelling from country to country, never really too close to the icy climates. I can't say for certain that it's an ultimate truth that this isn't the case. Just like if you had a load of ants in an ant farm in your house, they would see the world as the existence within the ant farm, and they wouldn't know anything exists beyond it. To them, circumnavigation is just flying in a big circle over the Earth. They claim that the sun and the moon are actually a lot smaller and a lot closer to the Earth than we're actually being told.
So in some of the islands where you have much longer, like Chile, south part of Chile, their daylight, I think also Australia sometimes, their daylight hours are up to about 15 hours during their summer times, and the opposite for our winter time. There's no possibility of that being the case on this flat Earth example. If the sun's close up here, okay, we can figure out, and again, the flat Earth theory works for the upper hemisphere, but to imagine that this sun is only 4,000 miles up and is only, 40 miles big, what are the forces that are supposedly controlling that? God. And to say that somehow down here, Australia needs to have, the bottom of Australia has 15 hours of daylight, and then over here, Chile also has 15 hours of daylight. It doesn't equate. The maths don't work for that. Simple as.
The sun is actually a spotlight, travelling in 24-hour circles above the Earth. And that sunset is when the sun just disappears into the horizon so far that it's no longer visible. And that the moon is actually on a 25-hour cycle above the Earth. And what explains the moon phases is its relation to the sun as they both travel up.
So yeah, this is, so if we look at this, the sun, no, there's the sun, it's giving that area. Nowhere in the South Pole could you have constant sunshine. So that, boom, instant fail.
In the sky on the 24 and 25-hour cycles. We all know that seasons are created by the tilt of the Earth's axis as it rotates around the sun. For flat earthers, though, the seasons are created on their model by the sun rotating down and out around the southern hemidisk, above Australia, and that's when they get summer. And then for us, it spirals above.
So there it goes up. Again, what are the supposed forces that are meant to be doing this? Still not getting it. Tropic of Capricorn. Down there. No, that doesn't answer it.
And up, that's when we have the summer in the northern hemisphere. Sounds crazy, I know, but in a weird
No, it sounds like a shit example.
way, it seems kind of beautiful. I woke up one morning with the image of a compass in my head. Now, when I looked into it and how the flat earthers explain the north and south poles, it was actually quite simple, and that they believe the Earth is just a giant ring magnet, with the north being the centre and the southern pole being everything on the outer circumference. Just like the ring magnets you find in your speakers. According to the Pythagorean theorem, that's a tongue twister. Try and say that one. Okay. States that the curvature of the Earth is 8 inches per mile squared. But occasionally you get freaks of nature like this, where you can see Toronto from Niagara-on-the-Lake, which is 31 miles away.
This one is... It's like a fucking mirage. An inverted mirage. There's even been some proper crazy versions of these. I think there was one recently in China where people are seeing cities in the clouds. They're like, why the hell do I see a city up there? What's going on? And there's a whole pile on of like conspiracy channels that are saying, oh my god, a extra dimensional portal has opened up in our clouds and it's showing us a city in a different dimension, blah blah blah. You're like, holy wow. And scientists generally are really struggling to explain it. This one has been explained quite a lot of times. It's either by the heat or the cold or a temperature temperature inversion, is that the right word? I can't remember. Temperature inversion, which can certainly bend the light in a certain area, in a certain way. For example, if you are on a very hot road, you're looking at the distance, it may look like, sometimes it just looks like there's a heat shimmering up. What's actually happening there is the sun or the light is getting interacted by the heat, and that's why you see the shimmer. And if you look far long enough away, it can also look like there's water down there. That's actually a reflection of the sky from far away bouncing up off there and hitting your way. Effectively, it's the same with this. I think it can happen in cold as well, or maybe it's just in hot or cold. But effectively, you can see things which would originally be far away. So normally the light would have gone way up like that way, in that kind of direction. But here it's hitting an area and it's keeping the light in. It sounds pretty difficult to explain, and I would say I'm not the one to explain it. But there's been millions. There's been lots of videos explaining exactly what this is and showing other locations of it as well. It's not somehow, because it's also this town of Toronto. It's not there every day, so it's not like, oh, has it disappeared? Has it moved further away? Does it come closer every so often? No, it's purely an amazing optical illusion, optical anomaly with our atmosphere and temperature variances, rather than the city has come closer every so often.
From Union Pier, 43 miles away, and Oahu from Kauai, which is 73 miles from coast to coast. This is how the news explains such incidents.
And what you're seeing here is a mirage. So Joshua was on the Lake
Boom. I think I've probably seen the same things.
Michigan shore. He was looking towards the west, and Chicago's beyond the horizon. Should not be able to see it. However, with the right conditions, we have an inversion. We have cold air near the cold lake water and some relatively warmer air above it.
Oh my god, anyway, this video is just going on for far too long. So yeah, I had that. Maybe we'll do this at part 2. I'll do the other bit another day when I could be bothered. But it's fun doing these mental experiments in ways to increase your knowledge, your understanding, and your want of investigation into natural phenomena is fantastic. But to then use this, that, and the other thing to discredit well-known facts of the spherical Earth makes you look what do you call it? Cherry picking nonsense is kind of what you're doing. Yeah, like, and the fact is, oh my god, I'm not going to go on. It's just, Tim, have these thoughts, but if you're and investigate these and do it as fun, but to promote it as these are your proper ideas that you're having, and you're promoting them as a big thing about yourself, when it really makes you look like an idiot, also makes people discredit you on all the good things that you do. So all of the great activism, the pro body athleticism, the vegan diet, and all that kind of stuff. If the danger is it the no true Scotsman fallacy, I think. It's like, if people think you're an idiot about one thing, they'll disbelieve you about everything else. So maybe just keep this to yourself.